First item will be the minutes from the previous meeting.
I know you gave me 2 cents on several items, but I don't have anything to change with you.
I don't have anything to change.
I move that we approve the minutes from June 15th.
Second?
Right.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes from June 15th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass. Anybody in the audience have any questions pertaining to tonight's agenda? All right, we will move on. The next one will be downtown revitalization proposal. John Bry, and I know I've talked to Board Works a little bit on this, and I know some other council members who had some discussion on it. We had originally, for this year, budgeted about $150,000 to be used on the Doden project, and that is where Eric Doden's team would come into Butler, negotiate some sales of some of the buildings here, and they would start doing some renovations on them. Eventually be able to lease out the lower part of it for retail, and the upper is apartments. And we went as far as even setting up a land trust to get that going. And Eric and his team went and approached the DeKalb County Community Foundation for some funding. At the time, they was asking for $5 million for Auburn, $2 million for Butler, and $2 million for Waterloo. And after making a proposal to the foundation, they come back and was able to only commit or agree to 1.5 million, so obviously 9 million to 1.5. So just kind of got me thinking a little bit, are we ever going to get that part of that plan executed or not? I've been talking with John Bright ever since they took office, always bouncing something off of him on, downtown historic districts, grants going to go after, so on and so forth. So John's kind of getting to a point where kind of want to do something a little bit different. You guys hear me out there all right? Yeah. So we kind of looked at, maybe do something a little different. We had good communication that hey, maybe you can come to work as a consultant to Butler, and we can try to get back on track to kind of do some of that downtown revitalization. We sat to discuss and come back with a figure of 5,000 a month, 60,000 for the year. Originally when we was negotiating with Doden's group, it was 15,000 for the month, but they're going to bring Waterloo in, and also one time they're going to bring Edgerton in, so it's going to be a three-way split, 5,000 apiece. And then they come back and said, well, Edgerton's out, it's just possibly Butler and Waterloo, so we want to be 75. But anyways, John came back with, 5,000 a month for his contract, and I thought that was very reasonable for what we want to do. It's been budgeted, we have the money to go about it. We try to get some more traction for downtown. In the last year or so, we had the pizza shop go in, we had the massage place go in, or we're getting ready to open the bakery down here probably sometime this month. So we are kind of moving that right direction, but we don't have the resources for some of those grants and grant opportunities and grant writing abilities. So that's kind of where John comes in. I want to let him come up here and kind of talk about it a little bit. I mean, we've been hashing out for quite some time. We've got a plan, but I'll let John kind of start it, and then I can kind of jump in on any.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I've been working for the past 10 years as the coordinator of the Oakland County, Michigan Main Street Program. It's the only countywide Main Street program in the nation, first in Oakland, now in 26 years. And I'm the second person to be in that leadership role. There I lead a staff of 9, including the staff architect that I've dragged down to Butler in the past to help figure out the roof on the mausoleum and provide some guidance there here in town, just to help out the community. As most of you know, I have long ties to DeKalb County, native of the county, grew up here, also have some family ties to, Butler in eastern DeKalb County. But most of my background, professional background, is downtown development, revitalization. I've been a downtown director in smaller communities like Butler over the 31 years that I've worked in this field. I've done a lot of grant writing. And before I went back to grad school and landed in Michigan, I worked with Noble County. And a few years ago, they called and asked if I would help them pursue the Preserving Indiana grant, which was brand new at the time. They were only choosing 2 pilot communities. It was for $2 million. I believe in these type of projects, it's always a give and take. There's only so much I can do, and there's also a lot that needs to happen on the local level. Kennedale had to do a little bit of convincing to me that they were quite ready, and they were ready. So we jumped in both feet to help them, and we were successful in landing the $2 million, and Kennedale being one of the 2 pilot communities for Preserving Indiana that first year for their downtown. Up in Michigan, I work with 31 different communities with my team. Our smallest community is 500 in population. Some of our communities do not even have sewer infrastructure. As the mayor, we just landed a grant for $230,000 from the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation for our rural communities. 11 of those, and each one of them will get $20,000 that they're going to use for bricks and mortar implementation projects that they will use for small business support and organizational capacity. And then when I was the volunteer county historian for the county for 11 years until about a few years ago, as a volunteer, I wrote a grant to the state. They got $50,000 to make repairs to the Spencer Covered Bridge after they found it had structural damage. So I'm no stranger to writing grants, no stranger to working with rural communities. And as I told the mayor, I actually took the month off from Michigan because it's been so busy. So starting June 1st, I took the month off and wanted to try getting back to working with a little bit more rural communities, because I believe from my experience and in the past, rural communities sometimes have challenges of capacity. They're not sure where to look to for funding and support, who to ask, what questions to ask. And I think after 30 some years in the field that I think I've gotten pretty good at that. So I'm interested in helping out my home county, one of my home communities like Butler. And while I'm off this month and trying to figure out what I want to do next, I'd like to try to see what I can do to help Butler. Particularly want to focus maybe on the Marshall Brother building, the old garage up here on US 6, where we put the historic marker a couple years ago now. I think that building in that area coming into Butler has great potential as a gateway. It's a long-term project. It's a complicated project, but there's different types of funding I think could be looked at. Everything from the Economic Development Administration to potentially community block grant, some historic preservation related funds that are from the state that come down from the federal level. Downtown Butler is a designated historic district, so that potentially puts federal historic tax credits into play. It can also be part of the financial structure of projects like that are typically complex and involve multiple layers of funding to kind of get the job done in an incremental fashion. A lot of times these projects don't happen overnight. They can take years to kind of pull together. I'll close with a story that I had. My very first community where I was actually the downtown director was a population of 5,000 in rural southern Illinois, just to kind of illustrate how these things kind of come together with the project. And we had our old town depot. The town was built by the B&O. Sound familiar, like Eric? And the big depot was still there, been vacant, stood there for 25 years, rain pouring through it. And our little local Main Street program, population 5,000, decided we were going to take on that depot. And if you never negotiate with the railroad, I highly recommend it. No, don't do it. But we got the depot away from CSX, and we worked with a consultant named Don Rinkela out there. And Don came to town and he said, well, unless you guys have unlimited money, this project is going to probably take you about 1.2 million and take about 10 years. And we all kind of scoffed at that. It's not going to take us 10 years. It's not going to take us 10 years. It took 17 and 1.7. but the depot is all restored and occupied now. And used for everything from the county extension office to meeting space like a community event center space, chamber of commerce, classroom space for one of the local community colleges. And that's what the depot is being used for today. And I got to go back for the grant dedication because I wrote the initial grants, the $100,000, and another grant from the state of Illinois for another $545,000. So that gave us a jump, but then I got recruited away to another community, but the community kept it going. And that's one of the keys, that I can get money potentially and help bring resources to the community, but downtown revitalization is truly a partnership. There has to be people also on the ground that's working together to move the goal forward. But I'd be happy and interested in my month off here from Michigan to see what I can do to help out Butler and some downtown revitalization, particularly giving some attention to see what we can get going on in Marshall. Thank you.
A couple questions. You said your smallest community is 500. What is your largest?
Largest community is Southfield, 80,000. So frame of reference, if you're not familiar with Oakland County, and my office is located within the Office of Economic Development. Oakland County is the metropolitan suburbs to the north of the city of Detroit. So our southern border is with the city. And as you go north into the county, it's much more like DeKalb County. It's much more rural. The southern and the central part of the county is more dense and urbanized and suburbanized. But my smallest community is 500, the village of Leonard, and my largest city is the city of Southfield, 80,000.
So I guess I would say my ask for tonight for the board of works would be to do a 30-day contract for July. So either July 1st to August 1st, or either July 6th to August 6th, whatever. And then John plan on going back to finish up for August and September.
Yep.
And be out of there completely at the end of September, ready to go in and execute the 1 year agreement from there.
That was gonna be my same question, so it'd be 30 days for your month off in July to focus on this, 2 months off to finish up your current project, then annual, full on, we have your attention.
Yeah. Okay. And in between that, if we had some things going, I'd grab it.
We actually already met today. Do you want me to discuss some different things going on, whether, signing on tonight or not? It's just something that he had on his mind that we want to discuss, and hold somebody else in here that's going to be a good asset for it, so. And I think, John, we're going to be in.
I like your proposal. I've had a chance to read over and talk to the mayor as well, and I think this gives us the advantage in the fact that you're DeKalb County, grassroots, to be focused on us to where we're having to split our time amongst other communities. With such a large pie, I think more can be done on the finite side of things with you. So I am definitely for this proposal, and do it 30 days and then allow you to finish up your current projects in Michigan. Then have a signing at our next September hearing for a annual renewal contract. So, guess again,
So how would you prefer that? Well, Chrissy,
want to make sure you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, maybe, when you have you said you're gonna do monthly check-ins, which I like that. Is that gonna be the board of works or is that gonna be city council?
we just, well, you go back down to, organizational flow. Back to the mayor, if he wants to come back and report to me, and I can bring it to the board, work in council. I think that's kind of how we had in mind in that way there. We know he's not gonna be in Butler every week.
Right.
I think just as long as we had some kind of update on where we're going, how it's going.
I think by the second meeting of the month would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to have a report like that. We've got some other contracts out there that we've asked the same thing, to be accountable, report back to us, quarterly or whatever, but on something like this, more one-on-one and stuff like that, I don't think, monthly report, John and I, and then I can share it with the council and the board works as well.
I'm good with that.
I'm good.
So you're gonna go
Yep, so
August 6th, July 1st.
well, I was gonna ask you, will you be able to work into part of August? Yes. Couple days? Yeah, it's somewhere. Okay. Well, then I move that we approve the proposal for his first month, beginning July 6th, ending August 6th, for a 1-month contract, and then give him until maybe September 6th, correct? Or 30th,
Our fiscal year.
yeah, fiscal year, and then bring him back on the first October meeting. Correct. October 5th, to then present the annual contract of the renewable, and have that proposal seconded.
Second?
Okay.
Was that a motion?
I have a motion and a second to approve the monthly contract with John Bryant presented, and then we will initiate the 12-month contract. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to payments and vouchers. First one is payroll claim register for the pay period of June 1st to June 14th, the amount of $47,081.83. Second one is payroll claim register for the pay period of June 15th to June 28th, the amount of $43,300.32. Third one is June elected pay in the amount of $4,532.96. And the final one will be vouchers for the period of June 12th to July 2nd, in the amount of $417,193.06.
I move that we approve the following payroll claim registry as stated from 6/1 to 6/14 for $47,081.83. Payroll claim register for the pay period of 6/15 to 6/28 in the amount of $43,300.32. June's elected pay as stated the amount of $4,532.96. And then lastly, vouchers for the period of 6/12 through 7/2 of $417,193.06.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the payments and vouchers as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass. Next, we have an adjustment request. First one is 2026-19 for 107 West Liberty, clerical error, credit account $50. Second one is 2026-20, 209 East Washington, full credit for the new customer, credit account for $103.99. And the third one is 2026-21 for 115 South Ivy, leak at the heater pit, credit account $50.35.
I move that we approve the following adjustment requests, 2026-19 at 107 West Liberty at $50, 2026-20 at 209 East Washington for the full credit of $103.99. And then the final adjustment request of 2026-21 at 115 South Ivy for the leak at the heater pit at $50.35.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the adjustment request as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass. Department reports, we will start with Andrew.
I have nothing for Board of Works.
Corey.
I have nothing for board work.
Ron.
I have something for the Board of Works. Some time ago, I actually had mentioned the information and stuff that we're gonna be looking for radios for. The new brush truck doesn't have anything in it, and with the engine has a very antiquated, outdated one. and it's starting to show signs of wear and tear. We've actually switched that out with one that's identical to it. But that's the one that is on the rescue that we're gonna be selling, so we're not worried about that one at all. But I reached out to 3 different vendors on these, and the type that we would like to get based on the fact is that they're kind of a dual type. They actually will give us VHF and 800 capabilities, which makes it so we don't have to put 2 radios in the truck, we only have to put 1 in. And then that's gonna be the probably the newest and greatest updated version. The way these radios are going and stuff, they're very quick to pretty much be, old and used by the time they even get in the truck. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game, and actually on this particular radio is one of the only versions that they make that has that dual capability, okay? So we reached out to More Electronics, and I reached out to Koskier and More Electronics and ERS. Now, we've worked with all 3 of these companies in the past. I had a pretty lengthy time trying to get Moore's to come in and get us because they were either on vacation or they had things going on, and they never got back with us. Actually, about 3 months worth of time to get back to us. But they finally did. And then I got nothing back from the Cops Gear one. ERS had it back to us within almost a week and a half, okay? Now, I'm confident in both Morris and ERS doing it. The only big thing is that ERS has the ability to come in and install, program, and, pretty much take care of for that one price, okay? Which is a little bit more than what Morris is. Morris cannot do the programming. They can install, and they also have to go through a few more hoops than what ERS has to when it comes to Motorola. They have to go in and apply for these things, and I have to submit a lot of information to them based on licensing and things like that, because they are kind of a secondary company and stuff, and kind of the eyes of the big vendors and stuff like that, which is not a big problem. It just takes a lot more time. So actually what I'm asking is Board of Works approval to kind of pursue the ERS side of it, because that way it's a kind of a one-stop shop type of thing. It's gonna be a brand new radio and installation in the brush truck. And then on the engine, we're gonna take out the old one in the cab and the old one on the pump panel. And they're gonna install and put that in. So the kind of a total of 2 radios with a remote is what that boils down to. And the price tag for the Morris and stuff is right there. It's $18,199, and then ERS is a little bit more at, I think it was $19,900. But like I said,
So that 19,900 is just for the units alone?
that's for everything. That is for installation, for programming, and the purchase of those radios.
But just so I'm clear, it says the price is an estimate, as we don't know the exact options for these radios, so the options, so are you planning on getting other options with these?
Pretty much no. The options and stuff that are there are ones that would be luxury items, as far as I'm concerned. Some of the things and stuff you get, like different frequency patterns, you can throw in things that we don't ever use. I mean, it's just a combination. These radios are just unbelievable on what their capabilities are. Even the ones that we have in the trucks now can have a lot of these types of apps put into them, and some of these other options. You got anti-squelch options, things like that. They're just not, to me, necessary.
So that includes, that 19,900 is with the estimated programming and installation.
That's
By
my
ERS?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And I would still have to go with Moore's and find somebody to actually do that, and then we'd have to have them come in and program them accordingly. Because we'll have a VHF bank and we'll have an 800 bank. They have to do both.
My head is wrong.
Huh?
My head is wrong.
I
I'm only
think you
getting
said,
18,199.05,
Yeah.
which is,
Yeah, I put the
ERS.
cheapest down,
Okay.
because if you're gonna go with the more expensive one, your motion needs to include why you're going with the more expensive one, which would be because the programming is included.
Yeah.
You know, have a cost of what it'd take if you had to take it out programming, somebody else had a program.
Pardon?
You have a rough cost of what it'd take if you had to go somewhere else to get a program.
No, I don't, because the biggest problem that I would have was finding somebody to do so, and ERS is the only one that I know right now that can actually do that.
I may have a contact for you.
Huh?
I may have a contact for you to help with the programming of these.
Okay, because yeah, because like I said, I'll have to do VHF and 800 both. I mean,
Yeah, but am I missing something? Because ERS is these two, right? Which is 18,199.
Yes.
And the Moore's was 1,900, or 19,000.
19.9,
Okay.
and then the installation pricing would require survey.
But if we decide to go with Moore's, and we get to make that motion,
Right.
why spending $1,700 more? And that's because they provide the programming where ERS was not doing the programming.
No, it's the other way around, it's the other way around.
otherwise, yeah.
Okay,
You're right.
okay, I'm understanding correctly.
ERS.
So we want ERS.
ERS is more expensive, and I'd rather have them just based on what they have done in the past.
How are
As
they
far
more
as-
expensive?
Well, they're not.
No, they're not.
Huh?
They're not.
They're less.
That's where the confusion's at.
Cause I have the back page, I'm sorry, I pulled this up, my bad, I'm sorry, because I saw it wrong myself. Yeah, I saw it.
So ERS will do everything, program it for 18,199.
Okay. All right, I was looking, I'm sorry, I looked at the front there and all I saw was more electronics on the green page, my bad. So, I'm sorry. So yes, you're right.
Just want to make sure I wasn't
Yep.
mapping.
I was adding up on the pages here and then when I flipped it over, I didn't stop there and looked at that, I thought they were all.
So just make sure.
So you're right, you're right.
Moore's was 19,900 and they were not programming.
Correct, correct.
ERS is at $18,199.05. They're the cheapest, but they are doing the programming.
They're doing everything, yes.
Okay.
And that's who you prefer according to here. Like you prefer more electronics or ERS?
I would prefer ERS myself.
Yeah, I have ERS next
Just
to the
double check.
preferred.
You
Yeah.
needed one that-
Sorry about that, yeah, no, I definitely would rather have that because like I said, it's one-stop shop, per se. And the other part of it stuff is that, there's different hands we're working with Moore's, and they do a good job, don't get me wrong, that's not the case. But they're busier because it's one guy, where it's harder to get them in if we do have issues and things like that too. Where, you know, ERS is kind of a quick call, they're there, you know, they are a little bit more expensive when it comes to that stuff, but the reliability is something I paid for on that too. I mean, I'm okay with that.
I would prefer ERS.
I would prefer ERS.
The ERS, yeah.
Yes, I mean, you're
I
gonna
mean,
get,
that's me, yeah, that's where I would rather go right now, on this too.
it makes me a little cautious when you're not getting back communications and you're investing quite the information.
Yeah, the 2 months there that I was up juggling a little bit, I know, the former, member of our department was kind of spearheading that when he retired and he was having some trouble getting some kids back. Then I found out that they were not relaying information to the guy and then he went on vacation for 2 weeks. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was like, we were in waiting game just for that group to get that quote, you know? Like I said, when they're on the job doing stuff, I'm not, and actually they'll come in and do stuff for us, no matter who does the work, but it just was a little bit frustrating this time.
Well, my math is correct, are you good now?
Good.
Yeah, my vision's correct too, so, yeah.
You were gonna say that?
Ready for.
Yeah. I move that we approve the special purpose request, from the fire department for radios for engine 33 and brush, truck number 38 from ERS Wireless and not to exceed the amount as stated of $18,199.05.
Second.
Motion second to approve the contract with ERS as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass. That it, Ron?
Thank you very much. The only other thing is that we had recently, and the fire board, myself, and the engineering, we have just interviewed and 5 people, and we've offered employment to part-time staffing for daytime shifts and stuff to 4 of those. So that's coming down the pipe, and that'll start rolling out and stuff here in the next 2 weeks, probably, overall. Thanks to Christie and Gail for that.
Anytime.
Other than that, that's it, that's all I got, thank you.
Thank you. Stuart.
Nothing for board works.
Braxton.
Nothing for board works.
Andy.
I have nothing for board works.
Yeah.
Nothing for board works.
Tom.
Nothing.
I have a couple of quick items. The first one is I wanted the board to be aware that we did have to charge a fine of $500 to a resident for an illegal water turn on. He had given us a post-dated check, and we can't cash checks if they're until that date, and he went ahead and turned his own water back on. So that has been addressed. I don't know if anybody will hear from him or not.
Nancy, you want to add a little bit on it?
Yeah, so, I mean, that meter pit is owned by the city utility, the water department and the city, and it's a form of trespassing, and that's what we keep them locked to prevent water theft. And this particular, situation, something like that. And the meters themselves, I mean, if they get damaged by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, it's about $350 right there just in the meter. The setter alone is another couple $100, so, if something gets damaged, we're gonna be liable to fix that. So that's, I think the fee is appropriate.
Was there a time on that letter that when they had to pay that? Because technically we could shut it off now and then not turn it back on. It's paid.
I don't remember. I want to say it was 10 days, but I could be wrong.
Good, that's some language in there.
Yeah. Okay, my next item is I did not include a payment to Irwin Auto for repairs in your normal packet because I wanted to bring to your attention that they ended up charging us quite a significant amount over their verbal quote to Corey, which was under $3,000. And our bill ended up being $4,233. So I have not issued payment to them yet. I do need the board's permission to do so.
Do we know what the overage was for?
Both Corey and Mike have been in contact about that.
So the big thing is we had the same issue with one of our squad cars. And the parts that they got last time, we had to go through 2 different sets of lifters. And eventually I was like, you need to put Mopar parts in it. And they did that and fixed our issue. When we went ahead with this one, I said, don't try to get Napa or AutoZone parts, put in OEM parts because I want to deal with the issue again. Because we need our car back as soon as possible, and I only sell homes a month. So the lifters were more getting them from the dealership. They didn't expect them, that's what they told me, they didn't expect it to be that much. When I asked them about it, they didn't know the part price from the dealer.
But that's where the bulk of that overage is at.
I believe so, because that's what they said, and those were $1,200.
That's the most expensive one.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, I imagine labor was gonna be the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But still, to me, if you're gonna ask for a quote, and they give you a quote, and then their excuse is, well, I didn't know parts were that expensive, well, then you basically didn't get.
You're gonna get what you asked for.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good with this, and I move that we approve the adjusted invoice balance that has the overage increase, so as presented at $4,233.49.
Second.
Motion and second to pay the repair bill to Irvin's as presented. All in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass.
Okay, my next request is for the Little League football. Andrew Nutt is here to give a little bit more information if the board has questions. They need to order football jerseys for their fall season, but the amount is significantly over their $3,000 limit without permission. So, and they do have plenty of money to pay for this.
As in from us?
No, all of their funds go through the city, so,
We're passed through.
yeah.
Plus, I remember doing this last year. Remember what the, cost was last year from it, by chance?
I do not.
I do not remember what the cost was last year. I actually just joined last year, so.
Sure.
These jerseys are, so the reason we went with them is because one, East Noble uses them, so we actually were able to see them beforehand.
Okay.
And they have very, very good customer service. You know, I called and told them where I saw the jerseys and they knew the president by name. And they're from Arizona. So, they're reversible jerseys. So at $60 a jersey shipped, each kid is actually getting 2 jerseys. We're ordering more than we technically need, but our numbers have been growing. So, and then with certain sizes and stuff like that, it's hard to gauge where we're gonna be using more sizes or less, so.
Sure.
That doesn't come with a full 2-year warranty, so if a jersey gets ripped or anything, all I have to do is take a picture on my phone, send it to them, and they'll send out a brand new jersey for free, cover all the shipping and everything, so.
You guys don't buy jerseys every year, right?
No, we're expecting these to last 6 to 8 years, I believe, after the,
What was it, something last year?
they're
Must have
varsity.
been for t-shirts or something.
Something like that. Okay. I'm good with this.
Okay.
Yeah. I move that we approve the Little League football jersey, request for purchase, in the amount of $10,845, and not to exceed.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the Little League football purchase request is presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass.
Thank you. And my last item is purely for informational purposes only. The former grocery store, I wanted the Board of Works to be aware that we have filed liens totaling a little over $1,800. I don't know if we will receive payment, doubtful, but they do have another $2,200 outstanding that looks like we probably will not be receiving. It's a total of $4,033.99. $4,033.99.
I don't know, that's going through bankruptcy, are they gonna be responsible for whoever buys that note?
It's a lien on the property, and if they bought the note, it's probably still a lien on the property. So there's a procedure in bankruptcy to eliminate a lien. Filing bankruptcy doesn't eliminate liens. You've got to file a petition with the bankruptcy court, the lien holder notice, and there's a hearing. But if you're buying the, and that probably won't happen because they would go to the expense of somebody buying them. So you could potentially collect it, but it wouldn't surprise me if we receive a request to leave it.
So we couldn't do that, we wanted to.
You're saying if we got a new buyer, we probably get a request to leave.
He could, yes.
Could we contact the new buyer, inform them at least, and discuss
I've
that?
talked to the new buyer, they know there's liens out there, they've got a bunch of other vendors that has tens of thousands of dollars in liens on it, so they're aware they're buying that note with the liens. But it still has to go through the sheriff's sale, somebody can show up that sheriff's sale and said, and outbid them what they paid for that note. It says highly unlikely that it will, I think the note's about, trying to sell that note right now for $650,000. Chance of somebody going in and buying that over that $650 is very unlikely. Okay.
That is all. That was everything.
All right, Chris, do you have anything for the Board of Works?
I do not. It's been a
Justin?
pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. I had GFL surcharge, they met with me probably a month ago, it's cost of fuel, one that added fuel surcharge at 2.13%. It goes up to be about 50 cents per household, if it's trash picked up. But there was a drop-off point when the gas or the diesel hit a certain price, and I asked him to reiterate those again with me. Went back and forth most of the day, he was gonna send it to me by email, he did not, so we'll just table this till the next meeting.
What was the average?
2.13%, if I recall, was gonna be the increase, so roughly about $486 a month. They just negotiated with the city of Fort Wayne, I believe their monthly increase is $24,000 or $27,000 a month. So with us getting it below 500 a month,
Yeah.
I did ask him, is there language in the contract that has it on that fuel surcharge? There is not. They're just coming back asking for this just for compassion, but just kind of trying to get a little bit of a relief from these diesel prices.
I'm surprised there isn't, every other one I've read had clause in it. Surprised that it hasn't.
So we'll table that and get the information and get it back to you guys next month, or next meeting. Anybody in the audience have any comments? Not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We went over tonight, 7:13, so give us 5 minutes and we'll start up on the council.